Hi everyone, happy Wednesday. We're going to get started in just a minute. I'm going to just make sure we're up and running here. Oh goodness. How's everybody doing this morning? I hope good. Good, I can see that I'm live. That's good. Just making sure we're all set to go. Okay, on our live video today, I'm attaching two quick links. Our first link is to our fall interest survey. So if you're willing to quickly fill out that survey, I'd really appreciate it. Let's see here, pop that in. That's our first one. And then the second link that I'm sharing with you today is our Amazon wish list for our education department. So if you didn't know, we are always looking for donations for our educational department. And we have just started a Amazon wish list. We are a part of Amazon Smile too. So if you also didn't know, Amazon has this great program called Amazon Smile, where you go to smile.amazon.com and it brings up like a typical Amazon page, but you get to pick a charity that part of your purchase, like you would normally purchase on Amazon, goes to that charity or that nonprofit. So Plymouth Art Foundation is our listed nonprofit. So if that's something that interests you, if you do a lot of online shopping, a lot of Amazon shopping, consider going to smile.amazon.com and then shopping as you normally would, but choosing the Plymouth Art Foundation as your charity of choice. So underneath the video in a comment section, you'll see a quick survey on Google Forms. That's to help me plan for this fall. And then also our educational wish list on Amazon. And if you have questions about our Smile account, let me know too. Okay guys, welcome back. Live Art Wednesdays. I'm Tricia Roberts. I'm the Arts Education Coordinator at the Plymouth Arts Center, and we're just really happy you're with us today. Today's fun craft is a paper mache pumpkin. This has been a real fun time trying to get together and going through and teaching myself the steps so I can show you. So we'll see how this goes today. My example pumpkin is looking okay. We'll talk about some tips and tricks on what I maybe did wrong to make this successful, but this is a really fun way to start thinking fall and to use, again, everyday products that you probably have at home to make something really fun. So you're going to need, first off, a balloon and then some sort of string or twine. Other things you'll want to have at the ready, you can make your paper mache mixture one of two ways. For my example pumpkin, I used Elmer's glue and water, and I'm not sure I necessarily love that. So for my example today, I'm using a flour and water mixture that I'm just working on finishing stirring up here. The magic kind of, what am I trying to think of? Combination is 1 part flour, 2 parts water. So today I have a bowl with a half cup of flour and a cup of water to at least get my first layer down on my pumpkin. You're going to want a scissors, you're going to want newspaper. We get a couple different papers here. We get the Sun and the Beacon. I live in Sheboygan for free, which is awesome. So I always read, I cut my coupons, and then I recycle. So like this is a great way to use up some of that newspaper too. My strips are maybe 6 inches long, 1 inch thick, and sometimes I will cut them in half depending on what part of the pumpkin that I'm doing. Okay, then after your pumpkin is dry, which we'll talk about in a little bit, that'll be when the paint comes in. Now this is probably a multi-day project, to be honest. You really want to make sure your paper mache gets dry before you put another layer on, and then you want to do 3 or 4 layers before you actually decide to paint it. So just a few things to know, but I'm going to demonstrate step by step how to do this pumpkin. I think they turn out really cute, and maybe I can salvage this one. I'm going to show it in a little bit. It's a little funky this morning, but that's okay. If at any point you have questions, send me a message, write a little comment. I can help and explain that as we go here. Yeah, so let's get started. Okay, we have our balloon. We have our twine. What you're going to want to do is decide how big you want your pumpkin. So I'm going to just do a little like balloon test here. Okay, now when I was playing around with this, I did pop one balloon last night while I was working. So I'm gonna say, depending on your balloons and how stretchy or big they can get, will depend on your pumpkin, but I'm feeling like this is a decent size for a pumpkin. So what you wanna do is you wanna take one end of your twine, wrap it around, and figure out how long you're gonna wanna make it, plus a little extra, to tie. Okay. So I'm gonna say that's good. I'm gonna let the air out of my balloon. And then I'm going to cut 4 pieces of twine this length. Okay. So, little teacher trick, right? You hold it together, you trace it. Okay. That would be 3. And then this would be 4. So I'm gonna cut it down here. Oh no, my scissors is just not working today. That's all right. And then I'm going to find that one loop that I have yet. I'm going to cut that as well. Something happened. That's okay. So where am I at? I have 1, 2, 3. I need one more. And again, you want them all to be the same length. That's going to be important in a little bit. Okay, and 4. Okay, next thing, you want to find the middle. Okay, and you want to put a little knot in the middle, which is going to be at the base of your pumpkin. Okay. Oopsie. Keep them all together. So again, I'm going to find the middle, and that's where I'm going to put a knot in. Just an overhand. Oh boy. My dad and my brothers were all are all Eagle Scouts, and you'd think I would remember the names of knots better, but I don't. That's okay. Okay, so you can see here I have a knot right in the middle, and then the next step you're going to do is to tie your loose ends together. So I bring all my loose ends together, I keep that knot pretty central, and then I'm going to tie a knot, just loop it and pull through, okay, at the very top, as far up as I can, because again, you want to keep this kind of like a cage, going to turn into a cage for your balloon. Okay, just give me a quick second, there we go. Okay, so now I have a knot at the bottom, a knot at the top, and I have technically 8 strings. It's important to try to keep these from tangling, and you'll see why not in the next step. So just kind of keep them separated. Again, these are going to become the outlines for your pumpkin. So, okay, I think the trickiest part is this next step, and it might take me a little bit to show you, so just hang in there with me. But here we go. You're going to hold the balloon, okay, next to your top knot. I should have worn a top knot today, guys. I'm behind. Okay, top knot, right? Bottom knot. You're gonna hold your balloon here. You're gonna blow it up, and then as your balloon expands, you're going to work the ropes around to give it a pumpkin shape. Okay, so here we go. Uh-oh. I'm really not great at blowing up balloons. This is also what I discovered. And if you have littles at home, be careful with balloons because you don't want them to choke on them. Also, Hugh watched me blow up a balloon, and now all he wants to do is put his mouth on balloons. Not my best parenting moment. Okay, so I've blown up my balloon. Now I'm gonna try to wrap. I'm gonna have to let a little air out. Wrap my strings around it. Okay. All right. There we go. Then I'm just holding it closed, okay, so the air doesn't come out. It's got its little bump at the bottom. That's where I'm aiming for my knot to be. And then comes the tricky part of getting the string to cooperate. Okay, so here, I'm gonna kind of hold it here, okay? So I know, and at least get half the strings on one side and half on the other. I'm gonna keep expanding the balloon. Okay, so I blew it up a little bit more, okay? And now I'm going to try my best to move the strings outward. Again, if you have longer nails, be careful. I went and I trimmed my nails after I popped a balloon yesterday, just because you're manipulating. And you want to be very cognizant of the bottom, right? So you see that I have like a little bit of a twirl here. That's going to cause a problem later on. So I'm going to try to unwind that. And again, this part I would definitely say not the best part for children to do. It's kind of difficult, but maybe this is a partner activity. So maybe they hold on to the balloon for you while you adjust your strings, okay? Because doing this one person is really kind of tricky. Okay, I'm consciously watching my strings, making sure they're kind of staying apart, and you'll see why again in a minute. These are kind of twisted together. At first I thought you just blew up the balloon and then tied the strings around it, but I was very wrong with that assumption. Okay, so now that I've spread out my strings here a little bit, I'm going to continue to blow up the balloon, okay, working the strings as I go. Wish me luck, guys. Okay, again, you can see that it's kind of bulging out in a few places. We're going to encourage the balloon to expand around the strings. So again, I don't want spots that are really big because then I'll get a really big Humpty Hump. There. Ooh, my hand's cramping. Oh, I'm gonna be 30, you guys. I feel like I'm falling apart. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I'm happy. I'm really happy actually how well you can see the bottom, right? And how well the lines are reacting. Now it's just the goal of not blowing it up too much that it pops. That scared me. Okay, so my balloon is adjusting. My lines are adjusting. Again, I'm trying to get it a little bit more even, but you have to be super careful as I'm like manipulating these strings here, because again, you don't want the balloon to pop. Higher quality balloon is definitely something that you want to invest in. Guys, I'm sweating because like popping balloons freaks me out. Okay. I'm getting there, okay? I'm feeling pretty happy with how the lines are spaced. You know, the more you blow up the balloon, the more defined you're going to have your lines, but you can see like it kind of sucks it on the bottom. If I would place it, it looks like a pumpkin. I'm gonna try just for a little bit more. Okay, oop, see, I got a weird knobber. Kind of looks like a nose. So I'm going to very carefully try to, I'm gonna release some of the air, I think. Move that string over. I've seen it too where people have drawn lines on their pumpkins to like give an idea of where the string should go. Okay, and that's, you know what, for sake of time and for sake of being scared of a popping balloon, like that's where I'm at. Thank you all for watching today. It's very exciting to see so many people on. Okay, tie off your balloon once you get it set, and we can kind of manipulate too once we've tied it off. Again, you want to make sure the top is secured. I also haven't figured this part out super well yet. Okay, boom, close, almost, there we go. All right, okay, now you can see in the tying, some of my lines have adjusted. Okay, so I'm going to very carefully, and I mean very carefully, adjust these lines over. Again, this is the hardest part. I'm gonna kind of roll them. okay? Because I feel like as soon as I move one, another one kind of moves. Again, I've got this kind of big nose that I want to get rid of. So I'm going to just gently encourage this twine. Come on. The hard part with rolling is like then it wants to roll back. And you kind of manipulate it around until you're happy with your result. This is another reason why I like the knot at the bottom, because it keeps most of the twine secure. Now, if you have like friendship bracelet tying, string, that could work, as long as you keep it a little bit thicker consistency. You could also try a rubber band if that's what you have. You know, you gotta make it work with what you've got going on at home. Okay, this is, I think, about as best as I can do under the circumstances. So I'm gonna leave it like this, okay? So this would be our ready mold for paper mache. Okay, now also in preparation, again, like I said, I've cut some strips of newspaper. I'm gonna cut a few of them in half. And then you're going to, again, choose your mixture. So with my example, I'm finally going to show the example. Are you ready? Okay, so here, and it's brown, and I'll talk about why it's brown. You can see that the indents are still there, okay? And when we paint it more later, we can kind of encourage those to be a darker. But you can see that a lot of my paper mache is like puckering up. And I think that's because I use the Elmer's glue water mixture. So with this one, that I'm going to show you now, I'm going to try the flour mixture, and we'll just see kind of what the difference is. Okay, I'm going to take out my brush here. Now, if you're using, I highly suggest using a plastic cup or something that you don't care about when you're using glue. The flour water mixture, you could use just like a normal glass or plastic cup, because it's flour and water, it'll wash off. But you also want to put, I don't know if you guys can see, I put water, there you go, in the bottom to make it heavy, so it doesn't tip, right? Because you've got something very light in a very light cup, it'll want to tip. Okay, so paper mache basics. Let me kind of move my stuff over so you can see. You want to make sure that your newspaper gets wet, but it's not dripping when it goes on. So I fully submerge my newspaper, and then I take it between my two fingers and I slide all the goop off. Okay, and once you start paper macheing, you're gonna wanna keep going until you're at a good stopping point. This is not something that you can multitask with super well. Okay, and we're going to just gently place, you can see, okay, gently place this on. I'm going to kind of build out my line. So I wanna kind of go on either side of the line at first, to reinforce that line. You can stick a couple pieces of newspaper in there, but remember, paper, like, biodegradable, so once it gets wet, it starts deteriorating just a little bit, so you don't want to like put all of your newspaper in there at once. So again, I'm just going to follow my curves, follow my lines, okay, and make sure I get my newspaper down as flat as possible to reduce the bumps. All right, I'm gonna let you know right away, this flour and water mixture is laying much flatter than my Elmer's glue and water mixture. So that's already what I would suggest. Okay. Again, you don't want to take it right out of the batter. You just want to make sure that you get all the excess liquid off, but have it be completely wet. And again, I'm just laying it on there. I'll try to turn so you guys can see it. And I'm trying to follow my twine just to give it, just to like really enhance those indents, those lines, those curves. Okay. And then this is what you do. This is a great part for kids, right? It'll wash out of clothes because again, it's just flour and water. You probably have it at home already. You probably have some newspaper somewhere, or just wait for the next time that you get your free local paper, if you're lucky enough to receive one like we are, and then save it for a great craft day. Okay, so I'm just gonna keep going with strips. And this takes a little bit of time, but it's a perfect, really hot day activity if you need to stay out inside, or if you're looking for a rainy day activity. This is a great way to do it too. And again, non-toxic because it's flour and water. So I appreciate that too. My children are putting Even Hugh, our almost 3-year-old, is putting everything all of a sudden in his mouth again. So we're really working on making sure that what we have around is safe, just in case it ends up in their mouths. Okay, so I could keep demonstrating this, but I think you get the idea. You're gonna do this so the whole pumpkin, right? Not just the top, but like the whole side, bottom, everything has one really decent layer. Then you're going to let it sit for hours, a couple hours to let it dry. Then you're gonna do the same process over and over again 3 or 4 times, okay? And again, I would start by tracing those lines. Okay, I'm gonna just demonstrate this one little part here. Okay, so I have followed the curve, okay, with one side. My paper ripped a little bit, that's okay. The other side here, okay, and then I'm gonna do one more strip down the middle. So I have twine, which I've like followed the curve with. Then I'm gonna do one more strip down the middle, just to enhance that bump out, to give it a little bit more dimension. And if you can imagine with me, you know, after 3 or 4 layers of this, so I have the twine, and then right down the middle, I'm gonna just do another layer. And again, this one will be a little trickier because you wanna make sure that it does lay flat. So you're gonna have to bend, you know what I mean, smooth out. You might need to do it in smaller chunks. Okay, you can imagine that that's gonna help the bump out, right? The 3D part of that pumpkin pop more, right? If you're following that situation. But you also want to make sure that you do end up covering the little strips at least once or twice where the twine is, so you don't have a holy pumpkin. Okay, so if you have questions about that, let me know. I'll finish and I'll put up some pictures of like step by step how this is going. Okay, so you do that, you cover your whole entire pumpkin, okay, you let it dry, you come back, you do another layer. I would say like 3 to 4 layers is probably a really good start, okay? If you'd like a little help getting the drying process started, you can take, you might want a towel ready too, you can take your hair dryer, and you want this on the cool setting, because the hot air will make the balloon change shape, okay? So for example, you can just hold it really far away, again on the cool setting, and encourage your pumpkin to dry. Okay, so I'm actually going to put this one down and grab my pumpkin, my example pumpkin, because it's still a little damp from my first coat of paint. And I'm just going to encourage this to dry just a little bit more, because I want to show you some detailing and some ideas for painting your pumpkin when it's done. Okay. Oh no, the pumpkin. It's okay, everybody. Pumpkin is safe. That's the nice thing about paper mache. They're pretty sturdy. Is there a little paint on my floor? Absolutely. Are we surprised? Not at all. I will be cleaning. Looks like we're washing the floor today. Okay. So my paint is mostly dry. And again, I'm demonstrating this with a little bit of a wet situation. But please, please wait for this to turn out the best to have it be fully dry. So you can see, okay, because I'm using that hair dryer, I'm getting those puckers here that I don't love. So I would maybe go ahead and fix that by doing another couple layers of paper mache to really get a smooth exterior, to really like reduce the bumps, to make it look a little bit more realistic. But you can see it, we're still getting that definition, but maybe not as clearly. So what I would start off with is taking a darker paint. Okay, so I've got like this red paint here. I'm gonna squirt a little bit on my workstation. Okay, red or dark red or black or dark brown, like all of those are really great options. Okay, now you can see I did just a coat of paint to start off. So let me back up one step. You could do this in white. I wouldn't suggest black, but like a brown color, something sort of neutral to cover up the writings, the pictures, the words of the newspaper. So again, I would do some sort of like dirty coat, crumb coat, if you're thinking about it in decorating terms for cakes. Okay, so I'm gonna take a darker paint and I'm gonna just color down the lines. And this is tempera, not acrylic. I would suggest using acrylic for this for sure. But I'm just going to encourage where those indents, where those lines are. Okay, I'm probably gonna go back and find my like dark brown paint or my black paint and do the same thing. So you can kind of see, I wanna make sure I take it all the way to the bottom. Okay. But again, when you're using a lighter color like orange, having a really decent base color like the brown, something super neutral brown, again, maybe not black. You could choose gray, but I feel like a color that's more natural in nature. Green even would be okay, white, brown, green. You could do a darker red, and then like play around with the color orange that you painted. Green is kind of a fun idea, like it's a new pumpkin that it's just turning from green to orange. That's kind of fun too. Okay, so we're going to start off here by just encouraging those lines by making them a little bit darker. So you can see I've gone around and I've painted through my lines to give it a little bit more dimension. And then as I start working with my reds and my oranges, here, this is a darker one. I'm gonna start doing a little bit more texture or detailed work. So this could look like, instead of using a brush, I'm gonna take my orange and I'm gonna take my red because I really want like a dark, dark orange. And I'm just gonna mix them together here really quick. Make a little bit of a darker orange. Put that over there. Okay. Okay, to start off, because again, you can still see some of my words. So I think my first coat of orange is gonna be like this kind of reddish orange color that I'm making. You can choose to work with a brush, okay, to just paint. But again, you can kind of see that the words are popping through. So I might do a couple coats with the orange, or like make sure my orange is even darker. Again, I'm having a little bit of mixing issue because my brown is still not dry. So maybe I would have done a second coat of brown first. But again, for sake of time, I just want to show you a few things. You could also take an alternative object like paper towel, dip that in your paint to do more of a textured look, okay? So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to reinforce my lines with black because I do want them to stand out a little bit more. Now working with the orange, I can see like the red is kind of just getting absorbed. It's not as predominant as I was hoping. So I think I'm going to go back with black or like a dark brown if I have one. Then I'm going to paint one like coat over the brown in the dark orange color, and then I'm going to use maybe just a normal orange without any red mixed in and this lighter orange to sponge over the top to give it a little bit of detail. Okay, the last couple steps that you can do, right? You pop your balloon once everything is completely dry, right? Because you want to keep that shape as it hardens and gets to be secure, right, as a shape. So once it's dry, once it's hard, you pop your balloon, you can take that out, find some sort of natural stem if you want, or pipe cleaner, anything whimsical. You could add like a little leaf or a little like vine on the top, but you can stick that in and hot glue it in. That's one example. Or you could fill this with some sand or small rocks or something so it stays put, because again, it's very light. So that's something else that you could consider doing. You could cut through the top and make it more of like a candy dish situation. And then again, to secure the color and to secure everything, you could put a layer of Mod Podge if you have that. You could do the glue and water mixture. That's kind of like homemade Mod Podge, just to make it a clear, kind of like hard coating. Or you could buy like a coating spray from Home Depot, Walmart, Menards, that'll just kind of seal everything in. So that's what I would suggest to finish your pumpkin. Okay, guys, I'll keep you posted on how my pumpkins turn out. we will see. They just need a little bit more dry time. Thanks for hanging out with us. We will not be back next week. I'm going to take a couple weeks off to reformat, come up with some new ideas, and then hopefully head to some local businesses to see if they'll share their art and their creations with us as well. So I hope you have a great end to your summer. I hope you have a great start to the school year. Be safe, be well, and we'll see you soon. Thanks, everyone. Bye.